Welcome to Ask Jimbo, week 3. Alright, as you can see, our lettuce is growing enormously. We've got lots of lettuce and it's starting to grow high, tall, so this is the stage where you got to start watching for it bolting. It'll start producing seed heads here pretty soon, probably a week or two, because of the sun, and that's when the lettuce turns bitter and you rip them out and you transplant the new starts. So that's how you handle lettuce in a container garden, and as you can see, we only need 1 tub of lettuce for us. And then our strawberries are ever bearing, but we were not able to keep on them, so they stopped flowering. They went to seed and then we deadheaded them, and they're coming back now. And as you can see, we have a little bamboo pot sitting in here. Anyways, kelp meal helps the fruit grow. Angie deadheaded the snapdragons and they're coming back with new flowers. Angie's pansies and flowers and native succulents. And the lettuce we're taking to the farmer's market this week to give away. Weekly blog, we had a question from Leela at AsianCookingMadeEasy, and she asks how to learn more about proper soil nutrition. So we're going to cover that. And this is a collection of stuff mostly from the video game days. That's a storyboard that was not approved of at a video game. Daydreaming Davy was one of the video games I worked on. In fact, it was one of the longest video games I worked on. And then Roger Clemens Baseball is another video game I worked on, one of the 80 games we worked on at Sculptured Software when I was there, 88 plus. And both of these games are signed by the programmers. So I know, for instance, Daydreaming Davy had a total of 6 signed, and I believe Roger Clemens had a total of 12 signed by the programmer, mostly to their family. I started the idea by asking them to sign my copy. I have the 2 signed copies of video games, and if I add my signature to them, they would be the only video games that would have the programmer and the gosh, I think I was assistant project manager in one and lead tester in another. Some books from the book club I used to belong to. And Angie's train from one of her things, and cars. These toys were all the toys we played with in the testing department at the video game industry. Anyways, this is what I call the thinking table, where I like to sometimes sit and look out and enjoy some coffee and write stuff down. KinseyAg.com. This is the place y'all need to go to learn about your soil and how to make it the best soil that'll grow the healthiest vegetables for you. I really recommend this book if you're into learning about your soil in detail, and I really recommend the video. Neil has people sending him their soil from around the planet for almost every crop in the world. He is an expert on analyzing soil and telling you exactly what you need to put in it for the type of crop you're growing. This is like a custom-built recipe for your dirt. And Neil Kinsey has also certified a few other soil fertility, soil analysis labs that do his way. There are different ways to do soil analysis, and Neil does it right. I only recommend his service and the ones he has certified. Alright, and here is a list of qualified consultants who have studied and utilized the Kinsey-Albright method of soil testing and recommendations, and who can advise on its application for soil fertility needs. And as you can see, there's California, Arizona, Kansas, Maine, Maryland, Minnesota, and Missouri. Australia, Canada, Germany, New Zealand, South Africa, and Switzerland. And in this section, it was something that almost happened to me, the dangers of too much lime. I was using a different lab and they were calculating my soil fertility wrong. They were computing and they weren't calculating the cation exchange, and their recommendations caused me to overlime my soil. Question by those using our soil fertility program is, can I put a higher rate of lime than you recommend for this sample? Generally, this has to do with getting the limestone spread, because the owner of the lime spreading equipment says he either cannot or will not apply such a small amount. Many times a farmer has been told you can't use too much lime. That is not true. From our experience in working with thousands of acres that have previously been over-limed, we know you can easily apply too much lime, not only for crops such as berries and potatoes, but for whatever crop you are intending to grow. And one of the reasons it's hard to identify this problem is because it actually takes 3 years for lime to release all of its properties into the soil. And if that wasn't enough to convince you why you just pay the small fee to have an expert analyze your soil, let's go on to how they explain about adequate phosphate is a big concern for most farmers in terms of fertilizer. Lime, you're going to release or increase the release of phosphate into your soil. But once you get too high of a pH, it ties your phosphate up. So one type of fertilizer can affect the other type of fertilizer, and at one rate it affects it one way, and at another rate it affects it another way. So it's really good not to guess at what you're doing when you're doing this fertilizing stuff. It's better to just pay somebody to go do it for you. It's real easy, real simple, and you know, once every other year it'll keep you going. And here we are at the worksheet page of his website, and you just fill this out and send it in with your soil. He has a video on how to take your soil sample. He's got all sorts of instructions, everything you need to know. This guy is a pro, and he's been doing it a long time.